What's up YouTube, Mossum here with another video in what seems like, well, a long time. This one, I'm wanting to start a series where I take a look at every single exotic in Destiny for all three classes and create a build for every exotic. Not all of them are going to be absolutely insane, some of them might not even be good for all types of content, but I want to give players a guide into making builds of whatever exotic they could want to use. Starting the series off, we're going to be taking a look at this exotic. I'm not about to butcher the pronunciation. This exotic for the hunter class grants you woven mail whenever you activate your grapple ability. It sounds pretty basic, but there's some pretty good synergization to be had with this helmet and some of the other abilities of the strand subclass. Throughout this video, you're going to be seeing some gameplay that'll showcase the build so you can get an idea of what it looks like. Alright, let's take a look at what makes this build tick. After shamelessly searching on Google how to pronounce this helmet's name, we can get on with the build. Cyrtarachne's Facade is the centerpiece of this build. Like I stated before, this helmet's perk is Acrobat's Focus. Gain woven mail when activating grapple, increased flinch resistance while woven mail is active. Now on its own, that's not really anything special. However, this build comes into its own when you start adding what the Thread Runner subclass provides. So going over everything that I have selected for the Thread Runner subclass, I've got Marksman's Dodge, because frankly, Gambler's Dodge doesn't really benefit us too much on this. We're not using our melee a whole lot as part of this build, so I like to just be able to have my weapons ready. And then I have Triple Jump just because it's my favorite jump, Threaded Spike because, well, that's the only melee available for the Strand subclass, and of course we need Grapple to work with our helmet. For aspects, I have Widow's Silk, obviously because it gives us an additional grenade charge, so we have an extra grapple to use since we're going to be grappling a lot. Then we have Whirling Maelstrom. Destroying a tangle will weave a violent writhing mass of strand fibers. The strand mass seeks out and damages targets, emitting unraveling projectiles when it defeats them. Now going over our fragments, we're starting with the Thread of Warding. Picking up an Orb of Power grants woven mail, just so we have more opportunities to have woven mail and we're not dying as much. Then we have Thread of Rebirth. Strand weapon final blows have a chance to create a threadling. This one is just because we're going to be using a strand primary weapon and it's just going to help out with damage. Next we have Thread of Transmutation. While you have woven mail, weapon final blows create a tangle. The reason that this is good with the build is not only is defeating an enemy with our grapple going to give us a tangle because it unravels an enemy, and when you kill an unraveled enemy they make a tangle, but now after we've grappled we're going to have the ability to make tangles with our auto rifle. So if for some reason we miss the grapple or whatever, we still have a way to create tangles because Threads of Transmutation makes it to when you have woven mail, weapon final blows create a tangle. And finally, we just have Thread of Generation, which is going to, when we deal damage, generate grenade energy. So it's going to give us our grapple back more often. As far as recommended stat splits for this build, obviously Discipline's one that you want to have a lot of just because you want to get your grenade back as soon as possible. And then for Hunters, Resilience, Recovery is probably another good one to have. And then the last one I would probably say Mobility. But Recovery and Mobility are kind of up in the air, whatever one you have a preference in. But I would definitely go Discipline and then Resilience and then whatever you like for Mobility or for Recovery. So as far as mods go, for our helmet we've got Harmonic and Arc Siphon to create Orbs of Power, and Hands-On to get extra super energy. Our gauntlets, we've got Firepower for orbs on grenade kills, Grenade Kickstart for more grenade energy, and Harmonic Loader for quicker reloads. For our chest armor, we've got some resistance mods for better survivability. These you can customize depending on your activity, and Charged Up for more armor charges. Boots, we've got Recuperation for health replenishment on orb collection, Innervation, which gives grenade energy on orb pickup, and Orbs of Restoration, which gives energy to all of our abilities on orb collection. Finally, for the class item, we've got Bomber, which reduces our grenade cooldown when we dodge, Powerful Attraction so we can pick up orbs easier, and finally Utility Kickstart, which gives us class ability when we dodge. Now with all of that covered, let's start going over the gameplay loop for this build. And well, it's pretty easy. Use your grapple, destroy or throw the tangle that appears when you get the kill, and repeat. And finally, one piece we can't forget is the main weapon that is used in this build, which is Quicksilver Storm. I personally just like Quicksilver Storm just because it's a really fantastic auto rifle, does good damage, and you have the grenades that you can use after you've, charged them up a little bit by doing damage and kills, which do about as much damage as, I would say, a special grenade launcher. So it's a very versatile weapon, and it's strand to play into the synergy of the whole thing. As far as the other two weapons go for the build, it doesn't really matter what you run. If you have something that, generates grenade energy or plays into getting grenades back quicker or benefits in any way from using grenades, then yeah, sure, use those. That's probably what you're going to want to run. Now, to close this video out, and for that matter, every video that's going to be in this series, I'm going to give you my personal opinion on this build. Frankly, this isn't really a build I would personally run myself. Not that it's a bad build, it does fine. However, when we're talking about harder content, which is what I'm spending a lot of my time running, it doesn't really do very well. It's a very up close and personal build. It requires you to get right up on enemies with your grappling hook. And if you're using that in Masters or Grandmaster Nightfalls, you're probably not going to have too much luck. Now, if somebody wants to run, some just playlist strike activity stuff, sure, I'll throw this build on. I have it saved. I'll probably end up using it a little bit, like I said, if I run some strikes. But that's about the extent of the build. It's good, don't get me wrong, but it's good for easy content. It's mindless. You don't really have to put too much thought into running it, but it's also not going to give you a lot of reward. It's not a high level content build. Anyway, that is the build. Guys, if you enjoyed the video, please, do the stuff, subscribe, like the video, comment. If you have any suggestions on which exotic you want me to do next, leave a comment down below. Let me know.